And now the news in details. On to our very first story. The Deputy Ashanti Regional Director of Ghana Health Services in charge of clinical care, Dr. Adumako Boateng, has been warned the inadequate number of ophthalmologists in the region. And the region, with an estimated population of 5.4 million people, has only 8 ophthalmologists. Here's reports by Ibrahim Abubakar. Dr. Adumako expressed disappointment over the high number of visual impairment due to cataract cases, which he said could easily have been corrected. He blamed the situation on delay in reporting for treatment.
A disease that can be prevalent to that complication where people are blind. So the emphasis then, as we are stating, is that eye care everywhere. And because if you don't have this service everywhere, then the tendency for people to come with complication is very high. So in terms of Ashanti region, Ghana and globally, the leading form of blindness is cataract.
Dr. Adumako said inadequate ophthalmologists in the region is affecting effective eye care delivery.
What we have done is that we have trained community health officers. And these community health officers go into the communities. And by simple examination, they're able to pick people who will have to be referred to other centers for appropriate treatment. If you are looking at the human resources that we have, for the whole, if you exclude Konfanoche, we have only 8 ophthalmologists in Ashanti region. The centers that can really operate on cataract are the regional hospital, Pramso Hospital, St. Michael's Hospital, and then the last one that we can operate is Agogo.
At an event to commemorate World Sight Day, Programs Manager for Orbis International, a health-related NGO, Adolf Olenu, called for support to promote eye care.
Preventable conditions. And so we feel it is important that if you highlight some of these conditions, then we will be in a position to give people a chance to restore their sight and gain their sight back. As you know, the eyes, they say, is always the window to the soul. Primarily, it is always has to do with access to eye health care services. There is also the cost component, and then also there is our behaviors with regards to seeking health care.
The NGO is supporting the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate to train community health officers in 4 districts to help identify eye conditions which require prompt referral for management. And still in the region, a physician at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, Dr. Maxwell Oseampofo, is blaming the high number of road accident deaths on poor handling of victims before transporting them to health facilities. He was speaking on the sidelines of a road safety forum in Kumasi, and Ibrahim Abubakar has more. Road accidents keep increasing despite several interventions by stakeholders. 304 lives have been lost in the Ashanti region compared to 228 deaths over the same period last year. The region recorded 2,194 injured persons compared to 1,631 last year in 1,949 accident cases. A physician at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital, Dr. Maxwell Oseampofo, attributed the high number of accident deaths to poor handling of the victims at the accident scene before being transported to the hospital.
The statistics released by the National Road Safety Commission for the media report 2018 shows that every month 202 people are losing their lives from injuries, road traffic crashes, which is very worrying. I'm sure that if there was any disease killing 202 people every month, all of us would be in arms, all of us would be crying.
Dr. Oseampofo called for the incorporation of basic emergency care into the curriculum of both the police and the fire service to minimize the avoidable deaths.
So that is where, National Ambulance Service also comes in to make sure that, they transport people timeously to where they are supposed to go. Now, I will plead, with, Ghana Police Service and other services that provide, what we call a first response when people get injured, that they incorporate into their curriculum a basic emergency care course for all the police, fire service to do likewise, and DVLA should make sure that a basic emergency care course is also incorporated into the training of all drivers. Even sometimes just the handling of the people who are injured can make it worse.
The Ashanti Regional Commander of Motor Transport and Traffic Department, Chief Superintendent Frank Abrakwa, advised road users to observe road traffic regulations.
Normally, when we come to the last quarter, starting October to 31st December, because of the activities, Christmas activities, and even particularly this year, the rains are in, so we expect drivers to be more cautious when they are on the roads. This excessive speeding, overspeeding, carrying excess passengers, and driving and at the same time being on phone is a very dangerous activity that's creeping into our system, that we need to advise our drivers and other road users to be more careful on the road.
If you just tuned in, you're watching news here on Newday. Remember, we are live on DSTV channel 279. Away from the Ashanti region, the cargo tracking note CTN policy is intended to be rolled out from today, that's October 15, despite a suit challenging its implementation. And a statement signed by the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofinti, served notice of the start of the intervention. A freight forwarder, John Kwame Edujak, has sued the GRA and CTN Ghana Limited over the policy and wants the court to declare its plan implementation illegal. He also wants the court to place an injunction on the implementation of the policy, which the GRA says is to provide greater scrutiny of major imports for both valuation and security management purposes. Per the policy, importers whose import from records exceeds 36 20-foot equivalent units per year will be required to obtain a CTN number in the country of export. This means any importer who imports less than 36 20-foot equivalent units per year is exempt from CTN compliance. Further, businesses that import more than 36 20-foot equivalent units per year but can demonstrate that the nature of their imports and their turnovers make them small importers will be exempted. Those exemptions are to ensure that small and medium-scale importers, mostly petty traders, small distributors, and other small to medium businesses, are free from the requirements of this intervention. And poultry farmers in the Bono-Ahafo region have bemoaned the high cost of feed, which they say is crippling their business. And some farms, they lamented, have had to fold up due to the high production cost and interest on loans granted by the banks. And Johnson Techi has more.
Maize constitutes more than 50% of feed for birds. According to farmers, the price of maize is making it practically impossible to feed their birds.
One price for about 4 to 5 years.
We are running the poultry farms at a loss. As input costs keep increasing, our output prices have been fairly constant for many years. We are appealing to the government to stop the importation of poultry and give the contract to Ghanaian poultry farmers. This will help create more jobs.
They anticipate a crisis following the high demand for the staple crop. They fear an imminent shortage of maize, which they blame on the fall armyworm invasion, which has destroyed many hectares of farms. Many poultry farms have had to lay off workers, while others have had to fold up. To them, the National Food Buffer Stock Company, where staple foods are purchased from farmers and stored and sold later, is not an option because the stock, they argued, could even not be adequate for schools. They also lamented over the high interest of loans they have contracted from banks and importation of frozen chicken.
Interest rate is very high.
Interest rates on loans from the banks averaging 30 to 32% is too high for us. It looks like we are working for the banks. We are appealing to the government to help us get soft loans.
The maize take 70% of the total feeding cost. The high cost of the poultry feed is also the major problem. The vaccination, a whole lot of continue for up to next year. Then most of the poultry farmers will collapse because we find it very difficult to feed the birds. Currently, we have the capacity of 140,000 birds, but we are using 80 bags of maize per every blessed day, and it's kind of unfortunate we don't get the maize to feed the birds. At the moment, 960 Ghana cedis per 50 kilos.
And quite a sad development there, and we hope duty bearers will act swiftly so the industry thrives. And on to other news. A senior officer at the National Crime Agency and an investigator at the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, Keith Gibbons, wants a multi-agency approach to dealing with child trafficking and sexual abuse in Ghana. Speaking on the sidelines of a training workshop for journalists on child trafficking in Accra, he urged government to do more if it must eradicate trafficking.
Trafficking in persons is a violation of the rights of people, more so when the victim is a child. Ghana is a signatory to all United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. She has again passed laws aimed at protecting children's rights, yet children from rural and very poor communities remain vulnerable and exploited. They are lured and sold into modern-day slavery in the cities as domestic servants on the farmland, quarries and fishing on the Volta Lake, and are abused. Others are also lured with non-existent jobs outside the shores of Ghana to become sex slaves, among other things.
The woman said, even if your father say no, I'll let you go because it's a good work. When you get there, you'll be okay. This man I'm giving you is too small. There is dollars, but in Ghana it's 10 million. And I said, that is a lot of money. So I'll go.
British organization, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, says a concerted effort is needed to combat the menace in Ghana.
So if the traffickers are uncomfortable and disrupted by media activity, in working in relationship in a multi-agency approach with the authority and agencies, that's a great way forward to work together to combat this crime.
Keith Gibbons also underscored the need for a multi-agency approach to fight child trafficking and sexual abuse in Ghana.
The struggle sometimes is to get that strategy from that level down to operational grassroots in order for those tools that have been given to the agencies to carry through to investigate the crime to a successful end.
A children's service practitioner with the NSPCC, Charlotte Jamieson, emphasized the need for awareness creation on child trafficking and abuse.
It's really important that people are aware of what child trafficking is, what makes children vulnerable to trafficking, but also it's important that we enforce the policy and the law that's already in place in Ghana and actually make sure it's used to look at the perpetrators, to look at the adults that are abusing these children.
The journalists were taking through how to identify danger signs and vulnerability, issues of abuse or trafficking in children, and measures to take when a victim of abuse is identified, amongst other things.
And you can engage us on stories aired so far on the social media platforms. On Facebook is TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter is the News TV3. And let's head to the northern region, where teachers at the Sabon-Jida Municipal Authority Junior High School in the Nanumba North Municipality of the northern region have threatened to abandon post if the school is not given a facelift. The school's walls have been washed away by a downpour.
Sabon-Jida MA Junior High School continues to deteriorate due to neglect. The school is reported not to have received any facelift since its establishment in 1992. Teachers and pupils are exposed to bad weather following a torrential rain that eventually washed away the walls of the school. Form 2 class also lost their blackboard to the rains, and teachers had to improvise. Goats loiter about in the classrooms, especially whenever school is not in session. These developments have been a worry to school authorities.
It's so sad and unencouraging. Because of the nature of the school, a lot of students or parents have decided that their walls should go far distance away from this town.
In the face of slow response to their plight, the school began digging clay to repair the broken walls. Teachers say they find the conditions in which they teach disturbing and are ready to lay down their tools.
If things are not changing, I'm willing to leave. It's very true, because if I leave, I feel like I'll have my life better than staying here. This thing will collapse on me one day.
It can be recorded that 3 years ago, Member of Parliament for Nanumba North, Dominic Nitio, bought a truckload of sand for molding of blocks for the construction of a new school, but that has never materialized. Assemblyman for Sabon-Jida, Onyan Blali, said the assembly is simply being adamant to the problems of the school.
So far, my proposals are no less than 3 3 times. And I've been going towards the district level to just hear any information up to date. And it was the MP, who is now the defense, who brought this CSAN since last 2 years up to date. We have never heard any information.
Teachers say teaching and learning is not effective here.
As soon as we enter the class and then you look at the building of the school, the spirit just dies at once like that. And normally feeling so disappointed when you see our school building.
The school also continues to battle with office space and furniture for use by pupils, and this has affected enrollment. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Sabonjida, Nanumba North.
And that was my colleague Stanley Niblo coming out with that compelling report there. And Ghana now has the first batch of specialized reconstructive and burn nurses. And the group of 40 are only a small fraction of specialized health professionals needed in the sector. Ifwatieku has more.
This is the director of the Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burn Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opokuwari Ampoma, in a discussion with one of his young mentee plastic surgeons about a surgery that was to begin shortly. Dr. Ampoma later told me that some few years ago, he couldn't have had the time to even sit for this interview because he was burdened with a lot of cases. There weren't enough specialized trained hands to go around. This fueled his drive to source for advanced training for staff. Until last year, there was no specially trained reconstructive plastic and burns nurse in the country. This was a major source of worry for him, as the fine skills needed to manage the aftermath of reconstructive surgeries was missing. This sometimes resulted in improper handling of several hours of delicate, intricate surgeries. The centre, through a grant from University of Glasgow, has trained 40 nurses and hoping to do a second round. This looks like a long road ahead for the centre as it strives to get the right skilled professionals in required numbers.
We managed to get a grant to train a couple of physiotherapists, in the UK to specialize in, in burns and hand therapy. But then that's very inadequate. We still need to train more. Okay, and then nutritionists, are also important. Psychologists, where the burns are very, very severe, you need intensive care. You need anesthetists, you need the medical physician specialists, you need so many other, so the microbiologists and all those other ancillary services to support us to be able to manage this person adequately.
The resource needs of the centre is enormous, but Dr. Ampoma believes that a well-trained and motivated staff can go a long way, even in the midst of constraints.
And now let's head to the foreign front, where crude oil futures rose on Monday as geopolitical tensions over the disappearance of a prominent Saudi journalist stoked worries about supply, although concerns about the long-term outlook for demand dragged on prices. Crude markets were also supported in the wake of data that showed South Korea did not import any oil from Iran in September for the first time in 6 years before U.S. sanctions against the Middle Eastern country takes effect in November. Brent crude had risen $1.01 or 1.26% to 81.44% a barrel by 4:24 GMT, on track for its biggest daily gain since October 9. And that's how we air news here on Newday. You can get more news updates on our website. It's 3news.com. I'm George Quinn. Newday continues right after this break. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. It's Monday, isn't it? It's Monday, and I'm excited. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing great. It was restful.
It was restful for you.
Yes.
You're fired up.
Yeah, and of course TV3 was on the mountains, bringing us a lot of transmissions. And yesterday we also had Ghana's most beautiful first eviction, where we got 2 people going home, unfortunately. But again, it's not the end of the world. Certainly life is just about starting for them, but that was the life.
It was.
And so they've got a new life to go and live out there.
Life is full of ups and downs, and so it happens. I was at the Ogun Festival, and it was fun. It was real big fun. I liked the rap session, where Dr. Duncan came up stage and had to discover new talents and old ones that were existing.
Nice.
Kuntakra, Dadio Panka, you know, solid there. But yesterday, like you said, the studio was charged. You know, the last week was supposed to be an eviction week.
Yes, but
then the lady said, "Oh, it's so safe." So yesterday, actually, when 2 people were asked to go home, they were shocked.
Yeah,
there was shock.
Yeah.
But it's a competition. I mean, we can't have
all of them throughout.
Everybody
What's
throughout.
the point
so
then?
somebody will go home, and unfortunately, it was the Volta Regional Representative Jifa and Upper West, Nor, who went home. So hey, here we are. Vote if you want them to stay in there, and we hope that they will perform, you know, creditably to the admiration of the judges. Yeah.
But anyway, we're still in October, and so Pink October month is still raining.
I don't know,
where
I lost
we are
my,
talking
I lost
about.
my thing.
Oh, sorry, we'll get you another one.
Yeah,
it's not too hard.
I
But you shouldn't lose them. It's supposed to be for life.
No, I think
just like how you plan to keep your wife
it.
for life.
Somebody took it.
Well, okay.
Somebody took
so
it because
we'll measure
it's always
that.
on my jacket someplace. Then somebody.
Maybe it's in another jacket. You just have to look for it.
No.
It's gone.
Then you are accusing my wife that she
I didn't say that.
Okay, it's all right. Because
you
are
probably
a friend,
just
so
put it in another jacket and you forgot. No, because occasionally I've had times I've left it in a dress and then I remember and I go and pick it up.
I am sure somebody took it because I looked for it on my jackets, about 4 or 5 jackets I wore last year, and it wasn't there. So I'm thinking, who took it?
Or maybe you lent it out to someone.
No, somebody took it.
Why are you insistent on that? Someone taking part. False allegations. But
Somebody
anyway, it's still breast month and breast cancer awareness is still being spoken about. Make sure you go out there. You don't have any excuse because they're partnering with so many hospitals to make sure women can get their breasts checked professionally. So make sure you go to a registered or known medical facility and get a registered doctor to check you out there. And after that, you can certainly do your own self-breast examinations and know what your normal breast is. So when there's a deviation from the normal, you certainly will find out.
Absolutely. Yesterday, it was a happy day for me. The young chap were looking for the rising star.
Right.
Ayanuri Philip Akila Sori. Yesterday, he contacted me on Facebook. He was actually watching GMB. Right. So he took a snapshot of himself with his television behind me, with me and his TV. And he says, he's been looking for me too ever since I announced. So Ayanuri will call you. I don't know if it's Barnabas's birthday or yours, but happy birthday to whoever in the Ayanuri family is celebrating their birthday today. But we'll call you. I will call you. I will certainly do call you. Let's check out what's on the front pages of the dailies.
But the front pages, Daily Guide is up now.
Daily Guide is up now. Okay, let's check out Daily Guide. Daily Guide reports this morning that government saves 7.6 billion in power deal, and Auditor General sued. I didn't kill judges, Rawlings roars. And it's been a conversation that's been going on, for some time. I read Chief Superintendent Yidana's book, and it had a lot of details in there. But he says, well, I didn't kill the judges. And Kweku Bako has also been speaking. He says America is hiding somewhere. Now it's North America, but it used to be some West African country anyway. Let's move on to our next newspaper for this morning. And if you haven't gotten your papers yet, you may want to rush out and get some. The Ghanaian Times says, clamp down on vigilantes in Ghana. Dr. Ibn Chambers there was speaking at the West African Media Awards. 5 soldiers, 10 others arrested over chieftaincy dispute in Somalia. And President elated about Ghana's full membership of La Francophonie. And Christian Achu saves mother, 2 daughters from prison. And cargo tracking note takes off today as major ports of the country. Despite the suit, the Ghana Revenue Authority says we'll follow through with this. Daily Graphic, cargo tracking starts today. Business is great. Britain and Northern Ireland. And Eden Heights launches luxury apartments. Teacher dies in Mangwasi SHS accident. And my integrity intimidates, threatens some people, according to President Rawlings. His integrity, he says, it intimidates and threatens people. Who are these people? I'm curious to find out. The final newspaper, auction of 6 oil blocks kicks off. It's the first since oil production started in 2010 and will do away with the tendency of corruption, says John Peter Amewu, who's energy minister. And government to set up new 200 million fund to support young entrepreneurs. Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, Business Development Manager there. And CTN policy takes off today despite lawsuit by freight forwarder, and ignore fake check rumors, according to the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center. The Independent newspaper says CTN committee misinformed Akufo-Addo, and the GIF is claiming so. The freight forwarders are not excited. Customs to bond transit trucks from 2019. So they will bond the transit trucks from 2019. That's what we're being told by the Independence newspaper this morning. The Daily Heritage says freight forwarders threaten to block CTN policy, which starts today. And Ghana card field officers not paid since August. Registration officers angry. And that's Professor Ken Atefua, the CEO of the National Identification Authority. Now, my card there, where's my card? Amidu must deliver. British High Commissioner Ian Walker says so. Says Martin Amidu must deliver. Today newspaper, Jamestown Manche to be buried on the 20th of October as Traditional Council defies minister's orders. The regional minister had made an order, but you see, the late Ni Oblimpong Kojo Babio, the 5th English Alata Manche, there is as well. He will be buried. Mahia new to hit street over Blekuma Curve, Mahia Road. Teacher dead, 40 injured in gory accident. Bagming supporters jubilate over attack on Mahama. And Indum ends tour on stop panic withdrawals. And that's Dr. Indum there. It says, no, well, don't take your money. We are credible. The Daily Statement, Ghana to strengthen bonds with La Francophonie, according to President Akufo-Addo. Power deal review to save Ghana 586 million Ghana cedis. Dollars, I beg your pardon. $586 million. NDC's bloated capacity arrangements siphoned millions. And Whale Cloud Alibaba to partner Ghana in innovative city projects. Finally, the BNFT, banking sector not in crisis. 7 failed banks has less than 10% of industry's assets, remaining local banks stable. There, photograph of the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison. We are open to offers for new airline. Aviation Minister Kofi Addo says so. Exim Bank backs one district, one factory with $417 million Ghana cedis. Well, the Herald newspaper, I'm sure, is the icing on the cake for this morning. It says Visa Connection Syndicate in Bawumia's office as government uses fake letters as cover-up. And photo of Vice President, his wife, Samira Bawumia, and Dr. Gideon Boako, who's spokesperson to the Vice President. Litovit Fertilizer went through due process at CRIG. AG's witness runs from his July claim at the Opuni and Seydou Agogo trial. Kweku Bako hides murderous location years after aiding him to break jail. And it sits with the story on the front page of one of the papers. Well, so that's it. Well, angry Atimubu residents beat up MCE and police. I should like that we start with that one hour. In starting with that, I'll say that if you create a monster, they will come and yeah. I saw somebody on social media suggesting that, well, the vigilantes should keep beating the people who set them up, whether they be NDC or MPP, so that it will at least let them know that this is a monster they have created. I don't know what you think about it, but
I mean, certainly that wouldn't be the way I want it to be said, right. But I'd want them to definitely feel the effect of what they're creating and see how devastating it is to the country at large, and try within themselves to make sure that they regulate what the vigilantes do. Because I've said oftentimes that now they've moved from the realm of being vigilantes to being militia, and that certainly is not what I believe the groups set off to create. And so now that they've realized that they're breaking beyond their bounds of what their mandate was, they should make sure that they regulate them and we stop this vigilantism for, I mean, so far as we can. It's in our realms to do so. Let's do do it now before we rear that ugly monster that we so don't want to see. But tying this in with the story of Menhian, where they are also, you know, moving onto the streets. I hear they're burning some tires, they're angry, they're irate, and they're also, you know, you destroy property. I feel that these ways that we are adopting to solving issues is not the best. At the end of the day, when you spoil property, when you maim lives, you can't take it back. And so in as much as we're angry, you know, the sad part is to look back and think how stupid I was. If I had just taken my time, maybe I would get results, maybe I would get the end of the problem. So let's not be, you know, rush about doing things just because we are youth and we are strong and we are, you know, bubbly. We just take things into our own hands and take the law. The law still works. Let's make sure if you have an issue, that's why there are courts. That's why the police is there. Go make a claim. Let's hear your voice. Let's make sure it goes through due processes so that you are giving your due treatment. Because when you do this, even when your story is the right one, unfortunately, you don't get much out of it because you've erred on the side, you know, of the law. And so if the law was to take you through, you'd be jailed or you be prosecuted, and so these things don't work out. I don't want to see a Ghana in this light.
I'm still wondering why the political parties, so far we've not had condemnation. We've had elements within the political party say, oh, this is not right, we can't do it. But the parties themselves, who we know are the originators of these vigilante groups, whether they be well, Delta Force, Azoka Boys, whatever it is, whether they be Alligator Boys or whatever it is. We know who formed these groups. Now, is it an indication that the political parties have lost interest or trust for our security agencies to be able to protect them? Because you find that the song changes as soon as power changes hands. When power changes hands, the song changes. When it swaps, then the tune changes again. So what exactly is the problem? And I think that maybe a security analyst and experts should tell us what the fundamental problem is. Because I remember that IGP John Kudalo, ahead of the 2016 election, said, look, let's disband all these ones. If you're a political party candidate and you will have a chance to pick out the security detail that you want, we'll give you a certain number. You select the people you are comfortable with and we'll give them to you. Some of them threw it to the dogs. They didn't take it. They still went ahead to use their boys. Now, why would you want to ignore the provision of the state to protect you? And of course, the state's responsibility to protect you. And then you will go for your own private security, sometimes fomenting mayhem in the process. Is it because when the policeman is following you, you ask him to slap somebody, he won't slap? So you would rather use your macho man so that when you ask, hey, Masa Chen, Bibi Kakra, then, you know, we go like that. Why? Why are we doing that?
Oh, but anyway, Johnny, today we'll also be seeing the CTN take off amidst its, you know, lawsuits. But I hope that eventually all these things are looking at raking in revenue for us, making sure that our money stay in and do not go out. And in as much as it's new and people would kick against it, I've always said that when we're rolling out new policies, we should have that stakeholder engagement. I mean, let's not bring it on, then we withdraw it because a certain group agitates, and rightly so, maybe they have genuine claims. Let's sit down, let's make sure as many as the issues or the loopholes that we seem to see ahead of time are plugged before we roll out the whole policy. And because this back and forth where we put something out, withdraw it, sit on it, readjust it, come back, it doesn't work.
Look, I'm happy you talk about keeping the money in this country and raking in a lot of money. And over the weekend, I was thinking about the tax stamp on our drinks and food and everything. I was thinking about it. And I was asking myself, do we have the machines to check whether a tax stamp is genuine or not? Do we have it? So we don't have a situation where people are just
Well, according to GRA, they do.
Well,
when we had them on board, I remember they had the machines and they actually showed us how they detect.
Is it widespread? What's the reach and spread?
Exactly.
Because
that's where we have to talk about.
These are opportunities for people, unscrupulous people, to want to, because it's a sticker. And just last Saturday, somebody had a scanner on his phone, and he was trying to find out if you show it to the bar, it's a barcode.
It will pick it.
If you show it, it should pick and tell you which company produced it. Nothing showed. Maybe we don't know how to do it. So maybe public education should help us. If you really want me to buy a product that has a tax stamp on it, and I walk in there, I should be able to use my Android phone to check if this product is genuine or not, so that I know I'm spending money that the state will get to help us build our nation. Maybe the GRA can start looking at that direction. It's important. But the Accra Mall, the ceiling, some portion of it fell off. The wires are still hanging up there, and people are still going in and out.
Are you surprised?
And I'm disappointed.
Oh.
And NADMO went there, and they cordoned. I thought that they would have cordoned off that particular area and said nobody goes in, because if you are investigating and people are walking through the scene of investigation, how do you arrive at a very worthy conclusion?
Johnny, on the lighter side, they've arrived at the conclusion already.
They've
so
decided what was so.
They said the ceiling, it was weak, it's broken down. And right now, that's the end of it. All the ceiling fell, so nothing more will come through.
But the wires are hanging.
Anyway, guys, well, let's step out and run. We're talking about immigration and the fact that many Ghanaians seem to want to move out to see greener pastures. Are there really any greener pastures out there? Would you stay in Ghana and improve it? Maybe. Let's find out what your take is.
Your dress is greener.
This is what it feels like. Nobody here knocking at my door. This is what it feels like.
More than 4,000 irregular Ghanaian migrants returned from Libya last year. And this figure is coming from the Ghana Immigration Service. And these migrants use inappropriate routes, risking their lives. And globally, more than 3,000 irregular African migrants died last year. And between January and August this year, more than 1,000 Ghanaian migrants died, mostly on the Mediterranean Sea. And so the issue of irregular migration is fast becoming a national threat. What really accounts for this phenomenon, and what is the way forward? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
It is evidence, as they say, and yet, but then onipa anko hua who can only do. But you'll be fire woo and onipa is all risking of our say or GDC or no bit more true. It is very strange, say nipa to take a decision, but niente and say ye need future, especially the youth, and a state policy be a new airboa. But my case, we class 1, we class 2. Now, yes, straight, yes, smooth. You know, in fact, people prefer to risk and live elsewhere. We didn't say nyama bebree.
And penny for say, uni penny a day. So on only penny a day. And you'll be a penny say, unim sa dear way, me confaso a me. Now, me quack confaso. Now, penny a ye nino. It's a maya bread. Penny a day says a bit penny one coast who are no nyansa. Obechin nana matna say, no fast matna, what I say, more fast me call Lagos and Libby. Say, see, and as up and Kobe. Mr. If we are doing Kado has a she susa. Now, so nim Diana bomb me off, and to mention himself a draw a grass in a bay here could do see, Basia could do see, ye miss Adian. It is a me who's a wash at Adaka country, what trouble of Fuso. We should have walked like a cat. I am a semi watchy, baby I'll find me for me. Ebias baby I'll find, wouldn't they now to me go by? Meme Quamema. It's my brain in Nimdiantia or 2 point. Some of the Hunanyas and Cababia, or one castle grow. Share averagely on my Timmy Crosso echo, and you wait to me back. Nipper and let me make it. Cacrabi, do one you.
A common so we share baby to say Abidjan, Togo. South Africa, Omun Shada in Chukwan. Na akwantu no enye ene started. Bibi ene pusu bibi. Ema nnuanu me yeden etukwan. Kenya sa nka wo hwe no ma yesi o Libya na manfo fasre so na omu wo bi dwonso no ano. What you say obi si ye egu krampa ne nnuanu no be mia na kon no ogu no mo yi nsem sika ne ye tata wo mo ewo eyi no so robbers robo. But still they want to go, especially when you are not born for.
Yeah, the status is important for the door.
So when you are not born for a dorsal, because he has no alternative. And I was all then. Oko. It is a decent and no matter to 2 years. I want to also they will bet me a concern. Memetia me answer her, my co. You go me chase your course or a bananoshi. O ma minia, shawaba say ni say obia e pe bibia funje it is a wonni ho no mo a wonni ho e ju kon sa hwe dia obeba the pass sanka noma tutu ye pa dia me gidi say no enuanom mfasre so ebi mfansuo so enkonko dan mi nwa ibe o Facebook which was enkofo na nimu ami hu no Ghana for no do so mo omo afon na me but still na omo da so ye dey
if Libya kwan into kwande na sana me hwe Al Jazeera na ye de ni krin na o se e ho na me ko owo nkwanta wo se me ko den na wo because o hwe bebi ofi ba na da che pepe bi ni ho ma den so mana amana basa because on say na maka say o hwe impinimfo na e wo so almost start say ye dwen imbebru na e ba no o man ne ho o dwen so bunwe oh on say sebi unsa we ni fi kakra ye fi ba ni beto tun ko bebre a na enye omutipen ne Ghana because o hwa before Britain during their colonial rule no mo ka say Ghana eye nsume bi yes omufin senka bi papa betime fi haba down the line debe na aba because that time mo hwe China na China tipen ne Ghana de hwe China
in Malaysia
yes because China for na say Malaysia ndo makomani ye say ye de ni hwe bebi ye de oman na efase impenimfo na nya ne sa so ena wo ye wo say oman ba na medemensa kan we medemensa kan we ema oman ni entumi ntumpon e wo say nke nya focus bi say bi oman e de ne ye say bi a e say kuayo ne ye ya hwe Malaysia ende obefa adwe wo Ghana ha wo ende they are the leading supplier of oil me ka cooking oil enye we cooking oil Malaysia is the leading supplier of oil in the world. Malaysia person choice so dia best in Ghana.
But Shadio, there's this statistics from a Pew Research. I must say 75% of Ghanaians would travel abroad if they can get the opportunity. If they get a chance. Yeah, their research I think may be right. But like I've always said, I'm not part of that 75. I won't go anywhere, but I'll travel all the time and come back. I have my reasons. The truth is, Ghana, those that are vying to become politicians or who want to be in position, the signals are there and they have to be saying it clear. If we are not careful, the kind of frustration that is in the system, that this statistics is showing that nobody is pleased. If 75% of your population are willing to migrate elsewhere, it's a signal to you that it's a time bomb. It's a security problem. And this should tell you, you have to be careful. And our leaders, they don't see any of these signs that is hovering around. Yes, I'm wondering.
Na se wo hwa omanya yesi age independence if ye colonial masters so o ma be di yeso ache ene yesi empemu bi mu nko na se nyame ya madom na abranti a mesi so menya bibi kakra na mesi we bi ande no e bia bibi yafu ko bi so ntime kraba na mesi metumi adandan me ho na abo ma bra abo a wo di kwesi bi oni sika ene edi time sika wo se mi tua wo fort e kyo se oman no nya independence and then they can unja ma kwesi bi na nko nchi ko ni fama what independence and then wo check me ba si abotre yerai me can be a trust and e be yen food because don't want me to start adwuma and do e bia afi be se ba ko na ne ma okra ba bo se edin kakra krabo na ko na eden ni sika nyina eden ahye e short na ni kire he so me nyina fi pot I was saying penny for to me beg say never dey cry
but you know sir those Indians are also suffering. For instance, to make us all US you can't see paupers on the streets.
Omo nyina wo be ye ni nyina ne se masa oni pani a due pani a woni adue no eye nkrabata huro bebre oni futufo oni nsa
75% ka ho
sa eba
na kombe ko achieve
the maybe a serious client to na meti wono na meti kana meje dey opa omonka se me dai meti say or say Canada omo ye ko ni before plane me bana mo airport mo airport da ye ti ama me ko ni say me ni me pese me ko na me ba e di aduma ba anything
we want to find best 3 times so ko bad dia
anya me ko bo bi kro adwina da me tirim na sam ni papa na oye bantifo na ye o just start no e di ye paracetamol me ye no me ni ko bon komo no chechem ne ba bi ni so me won sa ase ni wa ha me papa no me wo fa no won sa ase Omo ma kakra. Ya fanye banche no. Na ka ye ntena ha se. Na me nkyere me nwan mo tu kwan se. Omo to omo.
Wo banche na o de ba be parisam. Bureaucracies are too much to the extent say yara dey do report. Me ma kwa kotena wom aba e de me ka aba. Mentimi antua. The best thing you have to do, say first of all, if you want to ocean that car, so ocean it 2 cities and mami amen tomadi. What is that? What Toma will be, and you see the movement, the massive exodus of the expatriate, even the populace, to elsewhere to see greener pasture. 75 coronation. Research in Ibium, more than that.
Also, for me, I have the feeling, say, even if you put in measures in place, people will still want to.
No, but it will be minimal.
I disagree. Say you put in proper measures. One, a long-term planning. But then when we see there's a roadmap, you can feel it, you can touch it. So when you pass, if indeed, you follow path now, you be do it. It will bring down the exodus. I must be frank with you. But they say there's no roadmap. Look, everybody wants to be a leader. Being a minister, being a president, being what? But then you are a problem now. Okay, so it's been an interesting discussion this very morning, and I know you want to also join in with your views. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's our News TV3. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
All right, welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us here on TV3 Newday. Let's get straight into the news review segment. I'm being joined by the MP for Adaklu, Honorable Kwame Agboja. I call him the Adaklu Messiah. Chief, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for coming. How are you doing? Monday morning, is it?
Yes.
Great. We're starting off. Let's begin with the from the ports. We're told that the CTN will go on unabated, despite the fact that somebody is suing the GRA, saying that, well, the CTN is unconstitutional, it will place more financial burden on the importers. But the GRA says, well, let's go on with it. Never mind that this had already been implemented in July and then withdrawn in August because there were some issues similar that the Guta raised with it. We're back again. Where do we go from here?
Well, good morning to you, and good morning to your cherished viewers, especially those from the Adaklu constituency. The port is still a major issue to everybody, and everybody must be concerned.
Okay.
It has become even more challenging based on the perception created in the past.
Okay.
That a change of government from the NDC to NPP, the NPP obviously promised importers that things were going to be cheaper. I didn't know how they were going to do it, and indeed, this got into the mindset of many people, and the reforms, some of them which we actually need at the port to regularize things, to structure things, so that even if you are an importer or you are a Ghanaian living abroad, you send something home, you are not in doubt as to what you're supposed to pay. You could determine
from where you say,
yes, and then make preparation for it. Because in the many years ago when I was living abroad, one of the frustration we had was when you send something, you only get to know when you get to the port. And how would you be able to plan that? So if you don't have the money, you have to forfeit the goods and other things. So there has been a series of changes going on at the port. However, the current one that is taking place has taken many people, especially the importers, aback. Indeed, it costs more today to clear anything at the port, irrespective of what it is. And for some importers, the fact that in 2015, 2016, they were clearing something at a certain quantum of money, and have to pay almost 60-70% more for it this year, since 2017 and this year, doesn't make sense to them. And the right thing for GRA, and I agree, GRA need to to mobilize resources to do all the things we all of us want them to do, and nobody can fault them. That is their responsibility. The process of taking stakeholders through this properly, for everybody to come on board, has always gotten to a point where they don't agree.
In July, we started implementation. August, we withdrew it because of some of these issues. We're bringing it back, and still people have issues. Somebody's in court. John Kwame Edujak is in court.
Well, it's a reflection of the failure of the government, because you see, if you were to implement a policy and a major stakeholders have issues with it, can you tell yourself you have done well? You are a lecturer, you are a teacher. You set up an exam and majority of the people fail, or the people don't understand what you are doing. Are we not supposed to be going along with this? Because you see, these people are the people's money, whose money you are looking for. In reality, you are looking for them to bring their money. If you fail to do this rightly, do you know what will happen again?
No.
People will find ways around this at the port and will continue losing revenue. Because anytime you bring a tax policy that people feel is not good enough, or it is punitive, or it is unreasonable, they find ways around it. It's not only in Ghana. That's what they will do. If today somebody who has got a rickety tipper truck have been haulaging sand, all of a sudden today he has to pay 2,000 cedis more when he goes to do his roadworthy, what do you think he's going to do? If he has his way, he'll probably run away from it. So it is happening. Many people who have tipper truck that they were using for maybe personal thing have gone to register it commercial. Because if it's private, you pay 2,000, another thing. And I think this government is losing the plot on some of these things. And I think it's this mindset that we are the government.
Is that the case?
Of course. I mean, when I sat on this program and said, the Minister of Aviation gave me a letter to attend inauguration of Terminal 3. I started hearing on social media that the government have decided at a meeting they won't commission it. Whoever likes it can go to hell. The minister never got back to me and my chairman respectfully saying that, these are the reasons.
You mean the committee in parliament?
Yes, exactly. We will not do it. When we talk, people said, who says government can't stop commissioning? So they decided, we are the government, we have the power, we will not do it. What will you say? I think it's the same mindset that is current. But I think this is dangerous. And I encourage, importers and stakeholders to continue to dialogue with government. And I also urge the GRA, don't just push this because you need revenue. Because these are the same people who are supposed to mop up the revenue for you. It is their money you want. The money is in their...
Does the GRA have a genuine case? If you look at the Institute of Freight Forwarders, for example, they're saying that, look, let's sit down and look at this thing again. But the GRA says, we will go on regardless. And there's a case in court. You are not a lawyer, but I don't know how these things work. Maybe you have been around for a much longer time. The matter is in court, and yet the implementation is going on. But the case will be heard on the 31st of October.
Well, it depends on the reliefs.
Well, he's asking for, it says, is asking the court to declare that the introduction and implementation of a CTN policy was illegal, unconstitutional, and in breach of provisions in trade agreement. He's seeking perpetual injunction to restrain the defendants and agents from implementing the CTN in its current form. So he's looking for modification, not in the current state. That's what they have all been calling for.
So, first thing, he's seeking an injunction for now. There's no injunction as of now.
So they have free hand to work with.
That is basically, I'm not a lawyer, but basically I'll take it that people make this mistake all the time. Even during elections, somebody goes to try to attempt to injunct an election process. The fact that he's filed a process, he assumes that any movement from that point is a
but the court has to pronounce.
Exactly. I mean, even a hearing for an injunction is not necessarily an injunction yet. So let's wait. I wish we don't have to go that far by stopping the process that way. I wish GRA would sit down with them, and I'm sure they've done some level of consultation. If there are little sticking points left, why can't we just deal with it quickly and move on from there? But the bottom line is that the importer has been deceived. They are feeling the pinch, and the result is that you and I would pay the price, because when an importer pays more at the port, he will have to pass it on to you and I. No wonder upon all these things that government is touting as inflation is this and the this that, I am not aware of any goods and services that are getting cheaper. Okay. You understand that the Bank of Ghana rate is down and everything, but that is not reflecting in the way we borrow from from the market. It's not reflected in the prices of goods and services. So what is the essence of that?
It will take time.
What
for
time?
It to mature.
So I wish they can tell us the time frame within which we should expect to get results, because as business people, as people, everybody need to plan. If you put in a relief measure to cushion me, until now I can't see it, and you tell me it will take time, at least give me some time. That is what is lacking. But because many of these things are cosmetic, they are not necessarily going to give you any relief. Government told you they went and reduced taxes on everything. Just show me one thing on which they have reduced taxes that you are paying less. Is it airline ticket? Yeah, maybe airline ticket these days because of the introduction of a new domestic airline. So it was not necessarily about the tax. It was about competition. What is it that is cheaper? Is it tomatoes? Is it a price of fuel? Is it rent? What is cheaper? Nothing. So we are paying more.
Anyway, you can always join us, and we're expecting to be joined by the Honorable Afenyoma King, who will join us shortly on this very particular network. So you can always, as usual, join us with your thoughts and comments. And there on your screens, you find the trucks from the ports, the CTN, to be implemented by the Ghana Revenue Authority today is being challenged. GI, GIF, and Guta say, well, we can do better. Hold on, let's have a conversation first of all before we move on and get this done. But I don't know what your thoughts are. You can always join us on Twitter and on Facebook at News on TV3 or TV3 Ghana, and let's have the conversation. Right. Afenyoma King, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Sweet Blue, you have there. CTN is come under our radar this morning. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders say, let's have a conversation. Don't go ahead with the implementation now. July, it was withdrawn in August. We sat at the table, but we don't seem to have settled the dust on this particular conversation. What are your thoughts? Kwame says we should take our time and have a conversation. Do you share in his thoughts?
Well, it reminds me of 2015, single window, when I represented some destination inspection companies, also making a case for a delayed implementation. It's always a government policy to act in consonance with, international trade practices. And at our ports, we want to ensure efficiency. And the question is, other countries in the sub-region, other countries across the world, are they implementing such a platform? Are they using such a system to improve efficiency and all that? Nobody would want his goods to be at the port for a very long time, where when you are going to do clearing, you go through all the difficulties. When single window came, I mean, the cry was that it was not going to change anything. But today, you have the same freight forwarders who are attesting to the fact that the single window platform has helped. I would not say the doors should be shut on the freight forwarders and the concerns they are raising. But I would say they should be reasonable in their demand. Is it reasonable to delay it further? Or it is okay for us to do a takeoff in spite of all challenges? I'm sure the Ministry of Trade is a listening ministry.
What is the
government.
best practice to have it
in your own earlier statement? You said it should have taken off in July.
It actually did, and then the complaint started, so they withdrew it
exactly
in August.
That
and then they're coming back.
So that presupposes that there has been some discussions or some work has taken place.
Okay.
Therefore, the time is now for implementation. However, back to the issue of the freight forwarders. If they are raising a red flag, it is for them to sit with the minister. But like I said, demands must be seen to be reasonable.
Is the government listening?
That's why I make a point.
Kwame says the government is not listening, and he makes the example of the launch of T3 at the airport, where he was given a letter to say, well, appear so we can do the launch. And then it was just cancelled. Nobody informed them, even as a member of the transport committee in parliament. And he thinks that, well, based on that, he thinks the government has
I don't expect a response from him, but I just want to look into his eyes. And
why do you want to look into his eyes?
Ask him whether he really mean that. Anyway, Kwame is petty at times, but it's part of the politics. The point is, when you make a reasonable demand, you must legitimately expect that consideration will be given to it. So it is the point. A government policy cannot be delayed by mere protestation. However, if the protests, the petition, the demand for review is reasonable, of course, obviously, it stands to reason that
are we not pressing the
government would
people
want
too much?
to.
Is government not pressing the
into
people
it.
too much? The GIF said, well, this will place further financial burden on us, and government should listen to us. Are we pressing the people too hard financially?
How?
Say, well, this will put financial burden on them.
If you say financial burden, have you yourself gone into it? What financial burden? On them. Who loses? Do you think that the government would want to, on it, get out of its way to introduce a policy that would further affect the ordinary Ghanaian after implementing free SHS, after reducing tariffs, electricity tariffs, 17% household, 30% industry, after telling you that let me bear the cost of your child's education, after looking at the unemployment situation and introducing the NAPCO. The last time we had such an intervention was during Kufuor's time, where youth employment was introduced, and it was to take care of those who could not make it to secondary school and those who could not climb the ladder up. So the point here is, this government, within its 18-month period of administration, has taken every reasonable step to, one, deal with the mess it inherited, and two, take its manifesto at its blueprint and ensure step-by-step implementation.
That is not a manifesto.
No, I'm just lifting it as a document. This is evidence decree. So I'm letting you know that every step in the way is aimed at ensuring that the Ghanaian people benefit. Every step in the way is aimed at ensuring an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. They can make a sweeping statement. I mean the opposition. They can generalize and say what they want to say. It is within their right.
Says that.
But specifically, I have given you one example of the implementation of the single window. We had it, the DIs that were doing the work. Same complaints came up, same freight forwarders. I represented some of them. All right? But over a period, their fears were allayed. That, your fear was that single window was going to lead to this, lead to that. But upon explanation, stakeholder engagement and all that, they realized. I remember my own good friend who was part of them, told me that, oh, bro, I've heard you represent this group, but I think, and as an industry player, this single window would eventually help. That was his position.
Okay.
Eventually, we now have an improved system, in spite of the initial challenges and all that. And I'm telling you that should anybody get up and say that, oh, maybe this government is burdening the freight forwarders or doing something or rolling out a policy that would affect them, I say, no, it cannot be. Because you can judge this government by its track record within the last 18 months.
Kwame says, look, for all the elements within the government or the party that have said that it will take some time before the people start feeling these things in their pockets. It's taking too much time. When is that time? Do we have timelines?
Thank you so much indeed. Look,
are there timelines?
Johnny, you have an unfair comparison. You are in a contest with a party who has enjoyed 8 years of governance. 8 years of governance. And within the 8 years, we know what they did. Now, NPP gets 4 years. In less than 2 years, this NDC opposition, comfortable lead-oriented group of persons are telling us that they are judging us with a certain yardstick, which to them they are better able to solve the problems of Ghanaians, and that we have failed. Why? And I will repeat, at the risk of being repetitive, let me re-echo the point one more time. They said they could not implement free SHS. Even today, their propaganda all over is to expose some infrastructural challenges and to suggest that free SHS must be scrapped. In fact, that is the position of the NDC led by John Mahama.
I think you're widening.
No, I'm not widening. I'm making a point. You asked me a question. Let me make a point of relevance. Let me juxtapose it with examples.
Timeline. I'm asking for timeline.
No, I'll come to timelines. I'm coming there.
Okay.
We are the Kwame. You may have to keep quiet. Kwame, you may have to keep quiet.
You used to give us water.
See,
I think he needs water.
No problem. If I'm choking, I'll stop. Again, we've had a problem where in this country, electricity tariffs were so high, Ghanaians were overburdened. Ghanaians complained. Their government, the NDC, was bold to say that, look, the situation is such that we can't reduce it by even 1%. We can't do it. President Mahama said it. He couldn't do it. Now Nanadu came and the NPP. We didn't say give us 4 years. We didn't say we need time to review. But we straight away went ahead. Industry 30%. Household 17%. TV3 go to household. Interview people on the street that, oh, electricity and dra ne and there et say water prepaid now. Oh, see their chairman. That is a reality on the streets. But you see, the NDC would not even want to talk about it. You giving us timelines. We, for the first time in the history of our democracy, for the republic, we have had a party in government that all Ghanaians, media, the opposition, are now marking us point by point on our manifesto promise. Nanadu and the MPP government are not deviating from that blueprint. Tell me which aspect of our manifesto promise we are giving excuses on.
You really want
No, sure, I want us to. Okay. No, when we argue on fact, it helps.
Okay.
It helps. Pick our manifesto.
Okay.
And then let's sit down. And I would prefer that. And ask yourself, have we abdicated on any of our promises? Have we given excuses? The free SHS are today. You guys are up north telling people, doing videos. I'm disappointed, but it is for you
can we
to
get
think.
To
We are getting there. Yes.
No, we've traveled far enough.
Timelines.
Right.
We are saying within reasonable time, every policy promised would be implemented. Have we started? Have we shown good faith? Factory. Let's come to that. Even when you want to set up a soap,
a simple
water
question of
don't worry.
Timeline. You
I
have
have a difficulty. Yes, no problem. I have a difficulty.
You have a difficulty.
No. He says that I have a difficulty.
Oh.
No problem.
No. I said
yes. You are saying I have a difficulty.
No, a timeline, and you are not giving.
I'll get there.
Allow him. But I was asking for time.
Today I'm unable to make my point.
But
so you are helping me. You want to help me?
I was asking.
You want to help me?
You are a very smart guy.
You want to help me?
Timeline, you do it. You are not.
I'm asking for timeline. You have not given me. You have given me about 9 examples.
Yes, I need to.
Well, but
give you that
needs
example.
to have a bite of the matter.
No problem.
Finally,
no, you can. I can have a break.
We'll give the timeline before we finish today.
Oh, but we are doing this program.
But it's not forever.
Listen. It will be unreasonable.
Okay.
To say that I will finish this in 3 months' time.
Okay.
I will finish this in 6 months' time. What is important is for you to demonstrate good faith. Commence action and let people see your seriousness. That is when Ghanaians will take you serious.
Which project doesn't have a timeline?
Do you recall? In their 8-year regime,
okay,
President Mahama himself, on several occasions, on the Doomsor issue, you recall that he said he has stopped giving promises. Do you remember? He will give a timeline. So the engineers failed me. Oh, the technical advisors disappointed me. They advised me. Then he said, oh, now I've stopped. Judge us by our conduct, our actions. I'm telling you that if you want to set up a water treatment plant, no, this is a pure water factory that you get machines and assemble. You can even say, 6 months. But you may finish, you are doing testing. You may finish electricity. You need to draw power to switch on the
that doesn't disable you from having a project and putting timelines to it.
So
it doesn't.
So I am telling you that the government was given 4 years.
Okay.
Not so?
Right.
Good. We are in 1 year and 8 months.
Okay.
We are not yet 2 years. But question.
Actually, it's October.
Question.
Okay.
Have you seen things on the ground?
Okay.
That demonstrates commitment, that demonstrates willingness? I have given you examples. Entrepreneurship drive. Have we set up the NEIP?
Okay.
That's a new topic.
Which is addressing concerns. Are we incubating entrepreneurs? Yes, we are.
I think that your point is well made. You're saying that you have 4 years and that thus far you have shown commitment,
goodwill,
and that by the close of 4 years people will see. That's what you're saying.
People will see
to
what extent you have made progress. Those that you have completed and those that you've gotten to a level of completion that people would appreciate it.
We have noted your timeline. Yeah. We are okay. Kwame, take a quick bite. Then we'll go for a break.
I am happy he's saying that.
And you didn't really keep quiet.
I am happy he's saying that this government hasn't got a clue when anything will be completed in terms of their policies. He's confirmed. He's confirmed that. He says that at the end of the 2020, that is when you will see everything. This is a government which operates on govern as you go. There's no timeline. Let me tell you.
And it's called what? Govern as you go.
Govern as you go. So there's no. I mean, tell them. Show me a free SHS policy. They will tell you whilst we are doing it, we'll be adding shift system. We'll be telling some people to go and sit in the house for 3 months, which is not because there's no policy. Because
free SHS.
Let me conclude on the free SHS first before I go.
Your review.
NDC, this CTN is all over West Africa, really.
Oh yes.
It's not.
Why are they not in arms with their government? It's because of the NPP.
Okay.
You see, when you lie to people, I wish you could go and stand at Abosu Okanyi. I can drive in your car. We go there, and you repeat the same thing that you said, that anybody who says that there's a problem with the port, then the person is not being fair. Was that what President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia said when they went to Abosu Okanyi? They had our own people. They are card-bearing NPP members who are saying our businesses are collapsing. So this issue is real to even NPP. In fact, this man is a businessman. He is struggling with his own business now.
Did he confirm that?
Oh, but why would he confirm this? I mean, he can't confirm this.
Kwame.
How can he confirm this? He used to buy me lunch sometimes, but the nature of the lunch has even changed.
Maybe you don't meet very often.
Oh, no. I'm telling you, even what he buys, after because of his circumstances. Let me tell you, free SHS.
Okay.
Accord NDC implemented free SHS. It should, all NDC people should listen. We started implementation of free SHS based on the relevant sections of Article 25.
Really?
And he knows about it.
Really?
Yes, that the government should take steps to progressively introduce a free SHS.
So yours was different from what is being implemented?
Of course. As of December 2016, there were 45 students at Adakru Secondary School who were going to school under the Secondary Education Improvement Program free. And I know some of them. As of December 2016. So it is not true that NDC didn't want free SHS. We were implementing it according to the relevant sections of Article 25, and he knows about it.
So
when he says,
what is ours?
Yours is a haphazard implementation, laced with political twist.
So when you come,
allow him to make
when we come, we set up. Now you want ideas? We'll tell you. We'll set up just as we've done when we wanted to convert Form 4. We call it Form 4 leavers to JSS and secondary school. We'll set up a committee, and whatever policy they come up with will be to the consumption of the general public. So you don't need to call the minister to ask him what is the implementation strategy for this. It will be something that everybody will know.
Currently, repeat Mohammed's review strategy.
The free SHS implementation is only in the head of NPP people. In fact, not all of them. When they go to Flagstaff House, they decide what to do, and that's the free SHS.
Wrap up for me.
Quickly. He said that I should tell him some of the things that they have promised which they haven't. My brother, our own colleague, Hajia Kumsen, told us a million times. And I had a situation where young men and women were telling me, what are we going to do with $1 million? Dates were set. August, this. In fact, Dr. Baumia said, the monies will hit your account soon. And we said, which account? MPs don't, which agency? Today, we were told that money will be put under development authorities, of which one of their bosses resigned recently. My brother, have you got $1 million in your constituency yet? No, that is a major defect in the development in the constituencies. 2, he talked about electricity. My brother, not even one megawatt, not even, I don't know the smallest unit of electricity, have been added. All these things were left for him, for them.
It was not an addition. He says it was subsidy.
Listen,
subsidy.
Don't you need the electricity?
What the president announced to the hairdressers and
let me tell you,
the barbers and the seamstresses.
Don't you need to have the electricity before you reduce it? Don't you need to have the electricity?
Today you've been exposed.
Kwame, hold on.
Today you've been exposed.
Yes. But Kwame, it was your government at the time who said that we don't have a problem with generation. What we have is a problem of what? I forgot.
No, it's them. It's them.
They said it was finance. Boache Jaku said the problem is finance, not generation, because we are generation in excess.
No. As of the time, what are they talking about?
You said you could not reduce electricity tariffs.
Listen.
We've reduced 30%, 17%. President Mahama said it.
Show us.
Oh, correct.
Show us.
No, very well. I'll show you.
My brother, I'm saying that generation was an issue.
Confused.
Today, even they are not able to pay Ameri. We will be back in Dumso shortly. The investment we made in power generation, that is the only reason they can even talk about 1D, 1F and other things, simply because we have capacity now built in by the NDC. When you go to Atuabo, when you go to all those things, those are huge investments made and handed over to these people. We handed over ESLA, which they claimed they were going to cancel. ESLA gives us over 3 billion. So they have money to do the things that they are doing simply because NDC put it there. Today I've seen a story about the Exim Bank want to support 1D, 1F with 400 million. Praise be to God, and we thank President Mahama for this. 2016, this decision to create all these things were concrete, forward-looking, visionary decisions.
But why are you not giving the MPP some credit?
No, I've left you money.
The tax stamp, for example, is generating money. CTN will generate some money.
See, when you speak like this, you put them in trouble. When you tell them tax stamp is generating money, yet they are failing to fix my road, fix your schools, then people ask, what are they doing with the money? If they're actually taking all these monies, what are they doing with the money? Let me conclude quickly on this thing.
Okay.
That When he talk, when
I have the evidence.
Allow him to conclude.
No, he asked for
of
evidence.
course, it's published by Daily Guide, isn't it?
No,
which one? Which
FM?
Hold on. Allow him to conclude. Allow him to conclude anyway.
When he talks
about, get closer to me. You are going towards
when he talks about the NPP creating job,
okay,
and the three of us here are aware that it is deception, it is wrong, it is not right for anybody in this country to give young people the impression that when we say job creation, it is about waiting for you to pay 50 cedis when they are recruiting 500 people for immigration, when 100,000 of you apply. He's telling us that the government solution, the NPP government solution to job creation is to recruit people into NAPCO. That is the lowest level of leadership that any country can get.
How is that so?
How are we doing it? When NDC built today, when you go to Legon Hospital, there are new people working there, and they work there until they retire. If they so wish.
But NAPCO is not bad. Is it bad?
I'm not saying it's bad, but all I'm saying is that the level of employment we are looking for in this country is not to tell a graduate to go and look for work under job seekers allowance sort of thing. I'm saying that create sustainable job today. As we are here, Terminal 3, there are new people working there. That is sustainable. When whole market is open, when the whole airport is open, that is how you create employment. The new schools that we build, new teachers are recruited. That is sustainable, not this job seekers allowance. Oh, of course, somebody will say that if the person is doing nothing and you give him something, he will take it, of course. But which of the graduates will tell you that I went to university or technical university with ambition to go and do job seekers allowance? That is what we're talking about.
Okay.
So this government have no reason to fail, because they've been given every single thing, including money. Today we have doubled even our oil production.
Okay.
They did nothing about it. They came to meet an oil well that is booming, a gas infrastructure that is working. Exactly what has NPP done in 18 months? Zero. They just created
six of the oil wells will be
they are going to
be auctioned, so it will help fight corruption.
Let's add it to the future, since they don't tell us anything when we'll get it. When Dr. President Mahama was investing heavily and in 10 fields, they even attempted using, when the Italian Prime Minister came to Parliament, they even attempted stopping the project.
Okay.
Thank you understand? They have no reason to fail.
Let's hear what you have quickly. You were looking for, you're digging up for something.
Of deceptive promise to reduce electricity tariffs, Chinapo.
But you said Mahama.
Hold on.
You know you're a lawyer.
Hold on.
When you said
can I finish?
Allow him to.
Can I finish?
I think quickly we need to change the topic and move on.
After President Mahama,
he's running away from the one that concerned the two of us, which is $1 million per constituency. He's running away from it and thinking that just by saying that.
Look, can I?
You said you reduce. I haven't seen any reduction in my electricity tariff.
But
what about rent? What about rent?
They don't want facts.
Which fact?
Do you want facts?
Okay.
I'm reading to you.
Let's move on. Let's move on now. Okay, we're moving on.
He doesn't want me to. Johnny.
Yes.
If you let me get away with this, then we are reducing
the
Is that NDC policy?
I believe in facts. Let me do
NDC policy.
Hold on.
Is that an NDC policy?
He's not running away from anything.
Let me deal with the facts.
The fact is,
you.
Have we got $1 million in our constituency today?
Kwame,
yeah.
Hold on, please. Whatever you have there, read it out, and I'll look at it, and then we'll have a. But we need to change the topic. We've stayed on this for.
Let him read it.
I would post it.
No. Read it.
We want to read it and get it.
Read it and read it in full, not the sections you like.
You know I won't do that. You know.
How will I?
He's
when your government is
look for it.
You see, this guy has
for it.
Okay, it has
come. It's vanished on your phone.
No, it hasn't. It has come back.
Okay.
A former deputy minister of power under Mahama administration.
A former.
George Napo.
So when did he say this?
Oh Christ! Can I finish? Has accused the president of trying to deceive Ghanaians by suggesting downward review of electricity tariffs in 2018 budget. This comes on the heels of an earlier statement by President Mahama in the 2016 election when he said electricity tariffs could not be reduced. According to him, even though there is a possibility that the tariffs might be reduced for businesses and industries, there may not be a significant reduction for residential users.
speaking to City News, Duke.
But then he didn't say that the reduction
hold
be done.
Hold on.
He said the significance
hold on. I am quoting Jinapo on significance.
Right.
I am quoting President Mahama on impossibility. That is a point I'm making this morning.
All right.
Please.
In 2016,
he said it is impossible.
In 2015,
Please.
2016,
we are dealing with issues
one
here.
at a time. One at a time.
Can I make my point?
One at a time.
Can I make my point?
One at a time.
Hey, can I make my
How
point?
could you reduce
I have not
the
finished
tariff
my point. Kwame, I have not finished.
Kwame says yes,
Please.
and he keeps on.
Please, I have not finished. You see, if we are doing fact checks,
okay,
whatever you say today, whatever I say today, tomorrow somebody will say, Afenyo Mark, you said this. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Is it a fact that under CDB, penal charges and other charges amounted to $300 million you paid to the Chinese alone before you came to do capping? 2, did you say that because of the state of the economy, you could not
you are petroling.
No problem. You could not pay nursing training allowances? Did you say teacher training allowances could not be paid? Did President Mahama say that he could not reduce electricity tariffs?
We say we will not pay it.
You say you wouldn't pay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And even if we are back in government, we should use the money to create.
Did you also say that electricity tariffs could not be reduced in the history? Did you say so?
My brother, when you have doom so.
Did you say so?
When the electricity doesn't exist, what are you reducing?
Please.
Did you say so?
We're moving on now. Thank you very
So
much.
it is a fact that you say you could not reduce.
Thank you. Page 3 of the Daily Guide. Gentlemen, page 3 of the Daily Guide. Thank you. Your microphones are off. Thank you. Yes. Page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper says that government saves $7.6 billion in power deals. And the government has saved the country over $7 billion by terminating some surplus power purchase agreements signed by the Electricity Company of Ghana under the previous Mahama administration. The termination of the agreement is to ensure that government does not continue to pay for huge capacity charges in some of the PPAs, which would expire within the next 13 years. The Ministry of Energy subsequently tasked a committee to review the fiscal and legal implementations of power purchase agreements signed by ECG for the purchase and supply of energy from independent power producers for conventional thermal projects and all of that. This figure, I think your party mentioned this figure. In fact, the president has also mentioned it at some point. It's been challenged, and they say, well, it cannot be the same, even though the concept of saving some money is not in doubt. Do you still stand by this figure, $7.6 billion as savings you have made for the nation?
Who is churning out that figure?
Well, it's a committee that's putting it out. The government has saved.
Right.
Which committee?
Well, a review committee set up by the ministry.
Johnny, there are things we can do politics with. There are things we cannot do politics with. If a committee has come out with its findings based on fact and figures, it is for anybody who doubts those facts and figures to come out with something more superior to challenge it. It is not enough to run to town because you are in opposition. Why? Must you challenge everything, no matter how unreasonable such a challenge is being mounted? Stop it. It is a matter of fact that those agreements you entered into and all that in Parliament, check the Hansard. Check the Hansard. The debates on the floor about costs that negotiate well. I've cited the CDB loan as an example this morning. The Kaswa interchange is another example.
What about the Kaswa interchange?
What about it?
Yes. Allow him to make it, but please, I beg you. Please note your rebuttals.
Yes, right. You've been writing a lot of rebuttals. Write more of them.
Why are you flipping his page? Please leave it for him. I think you'll make progress.
Write more of them. Kaswa interchange is another example. When we were in opposition, our issue with you guys was basically on cost. How you were negotiating. Your poor negotiations led to a lot of losses to the Ghanaian taxpayer. This morning I've given you two examples. CDB was one. The Kaswa interchange. What? Kaswa interchange, I'm coming there. You took the facility. You were supposed to contribute 30% in a collection account. At the same time, you were being charged a commercial rate. Meanwhile, you were supposed to also pay 10% to cover the insurance risk of the lenders. I seconded that motion on the floor, and I questioned your negotiation ability and capacity as a government. It wasn't that doing Kaswa interchange was bad. It wasn't that procuring a loan for that project was bad, but the costs. Another example of procurement of loan was this bond issuance. Okay. Look, in 2012, when NDC issued bond for the SADA project, it was at a compound interest. 200 million. In 3 years, when the bonds matured, we paid 299 million. This we are there. We're talking about costs. When we talk about bonds, domestic bonds that when Kenoforiata issued, that they raised hell. You know that in 8 years, the minimum NDC got was 23%.
This 7.6 billion.
So I am saying that
what will it change? What will it change?
Interlock it.
Okay.
Interlock it with the work done by this committee.
What will it change? This money that we're told is being saved. What will it change? Will it change our narrative, our story? Will it change how things are playing out in the energy sector?
Johnny, the change is obvious. If I am supposed to pay 5,000 and I'm able to slash it to 4,000, I'm making a savings of 1,000. Unless I misuse or mismanage that savings, it is a real gain.
Okay.
It's a real gain that can be used for some other things. So my answer to you is, to the extent that these savings would be used and the savings thereof will be used for the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian, yes, it's a real gain.
So I'm wondering how the committee arrived at this, because the repercussions if the persons whose deals have been cut or sized may start raising red flags.
No, you see,
would that cost them?
Pricing can always be negotiated.
Okay.
Like you said, I'm an entrepreneur.
Even if you have
can always be called. I mean, I've done businesses in the past, even the banks.
Okay.
Somewhere 2014, 2015. Some of the banks that my company had a business with, came up with price negotiation issues, and they managed to negotiate some rates that had been agreed downwards.
Okay.
We had jobs, to do. And say, look, based on circumstance A, B, C, we want us to sit down again to look at this.
Okay.
The brewery industry, I've worked with them in the past. They will come and tell you that, based on circumstance A, B, C, the mining industry, where I've done mining support services, they will come and tell you that, because of circumstance A, B, C. So these are things that come up in the course of business. Contract negotiations, you negotiate. Though you've entered into, it is not a breach, but you go in to negotiate. You are not repudiating, but you want to negotiate for a better term that, look, let's look at this again. These are my circumstances. Let's review. It is done. To the extent that there's fair play, not that somebody holds your hand and say, no, if you don't do this, I won't do that.
I'm cautious, and Kwame will take a bite shortly, but I'm cautious and curious as well. How do we ensure that as a nation we keep, such things watertight, so we don't have them bloated, as some elements of your party have said, and then later would want to trim it down? Is it a systemic failure, or some persons trying to be heroes when the tables turn as political giants, if you will?
I disagree on the issue of some people wanting to be heroes. But most of the things that, look, I'm not being petty, I'm not being partisan here.
Okay.
But most of the issues that we raised when we're in opposition were just too obvious. Okay. All right? I've given you some examples, I won't repeat them. Okay. But you see, at a point, it was clear.
Is there a systemic failure?
At a point, it was clear that those who were leading negotiations on our behalf under the Mahama regime were not giving their best.
Is there systemic failure?
My understanding of a systemic failure is where the system prohibits, inhibits, puts some roadblocks, makes it difficult for you to perform a certain act. But a situation where you have been appointed by your government to lead a charge, to lead a negotiation, and perhaps I don't want to use incompetence. Incompetence is used by senior people, not junior officers. But if you are appointed a minister, an advisor, and the president says, lead a team to negotiate on this, and you go, and you are unable to negotiate well, and you think that is the best you can get, and create the impression for the system to believe that, look, this is all we could get.
If that's not incompetence, what is it?
And that's why I said that I don't want to use it.
But what do you want
to use? But the point is that in a situation where we tell you in Parliament, I've given you the CDB, $300 million, what we lost.
I'm looking for a word, not an explanation.
It was $300 million, what we lost before they came to do capping. They signed a deal somewhere 2010. They came to Parliament, Dr. Akoto said, in a debate, told them that, look, these clauses, watch them. When you are negotiating with Chinese, watch for mischief clauses. Look for them. You are going to lose money. But they were unreasonably in a hurry.
We got to go. Kwame will take a bite now. Kwame. So you
came before me. What again do you want to say?
No, you allow him to have his time.
I didn't
allow him to have his time. Kwame, your side has been questioning this figure, 7.6. You say it is not real.
Let me give you a clear. You see, sometimes when you read a story, you should need to tell us where you are reading the story from.
From Daily Guide.
This is the story from a cabinet member. This is the story being written by the chairman, the national chairman of the MPP. Let's leave that. Let's make it clear.
This paper is not edited by Mr. Freddie Blay.
He's the owner of that business.
That's unfair to him.
And he's a mouthpiece. Everybody.
I don't see his name here.
Everybody in Ghana knows Daily Guide is a mouthpiece of Flagstaff House. Let's leave it.
Is it so?
Yes, of course. Two, you see, let me give you a very simple analogy. This government have been misleading themselves every single day, deliberately, just to confuse you and I. We, as a country, entered into a purchase agreement. So I say, listen, I say, come and build a house for me. When you build, I said, when you build a house, I'll pay you this amount of money, maybe on incremental basis, or I'll pay you off. My brother, you didn't build a house. Do I owe you any money? You didn't build the house. Where from this phantom 7 billion the president is talking about?
I mean, look at this thing. Let me show you.
You see, the president and the government know they have failed Ghanaians. So they throw this. You ask them, from who have they saved this money? Some of this, and guess what? Sometimes when you say it, you ask whether there's anybody advising government. This is a situation where the people who negotiated this agreement put in every reasonable agreement, termination clause. If I give you this contract, after 5 years, after 2 years, if you don't do it, automatically the contract is off.
You say you were warned.
No, we don't, in fact, the government haven't saved $1 from this.
Really?
Because the people haven't done anything.
Okay.
They haven't done the project, so we don't owe them any money. It's a purchase agreement. Have these people produced energy that we are using? No. So this is the deception. And he talked about how Honorable Akoto Osei was trying to save us money. Honorable Akoto Osei was still sitting in Parliament when Minister of Communication is fleecing us with $178 million. Why is the president not saving us money? Because the president knows Google
Welcome back, and most grateful for your time this morning. We're going all the way till 9 a.m. But before that, let's have a conversation about technical and vocational educational training in this country. And I've been joined by Matthew Omai, CEO of Western Regional Coastal Foundation, and Ms. Sheila Nana Boama. She's the Executive Secretary of the National Board for Professional and Technical Examinations, NAPTEX. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing? First, Matthew is not new to this set. Let's take a cursory look at the tech vet sector. What does it look like? I'll start with you, Matthew.
Well, good morning. The TVET sector,
TVET, sorry about
we
that.
call the TVET sector, is usually the sector that drives the economy of any country. And it is an important link in anything that we do when we talk about competitiveness, when we talk about local content.
Okay.
And so what we're trying to do is to make sure that the TVS sector, that there's dialogue around that sector that helps us to bring it into the modern systems.
I see. And so far, so good. Are we making inroads in that particular direction?
I think that there's a general willingness that it is an important segment into the economy and that the government is talking about it. Everybody is talking about it. We've talked about oil and gas, which is where we're really interested in.
Right.
And you hear that we're importing a lot of workers to come and work, technicians. We need to change that. And the only way you can change that is by having homegrown technical vocational training that meets the standards that the oil and gas sector are looking for, really.
Sheila, let me take your thoughts about this one as well. Talking about it and realizing that this is what we need, is that enough if you look at the sector?
Is that enough? It's work in progress.
Okay.
Let me start with that. I think that the need for partnerships between government agencies and institutions like the Western Region Coastal Foundation is speaking to is that enough?
Okay.
We are collaborating to try and improve on the outcomes for the sector. The National Board for Professional and Technician Examination is an agency of the Ministry of Education. And it was set up and deals with that space in two main areas. The National Board for Professional and Technician Examination conducts annually national examinations for technical and vocational institutions for all the core subjects. And this enables them to progress academically into any technical university or polytechnic of their choice. And so the National Board for Professional and Technician Examination is very interested in improving the delivery of technical and vocational education outcomes. It is for that reason that we saw this partnership as a very good one, where we are collaborating with people who spend all their time researching the issues to improve on the sector. So yes, it may not be enough, but it's a work in progress.
Let's look at the lacuna, or if you like space, the D-link between your training, the examination, and the job market. What is it that you know? What are some of the challenges that have come to your attention?
The TVET sector, unlike the research-based education, it is one that is very skills-oriented. And within the skills framework, it's also one that has a competency requirement. So the competency is the bigger picture that is looking not just at skills, but also at knowledge and attitudes. So together, we would form a sector that responds to the needs of industry. But there are a lot of things that must come and work well for skills, knowledge, and attitude.
What are these things? Tell me about
equipping the institutions is one. Delivery of content is another. The structure of the curriculum. So there are a lot of things. There are little bits that must work together to form a certain outcome. And the good news is that we recognize the areas that must be improved. And we are currently working at strengthening them. I can't say it's a perfect fit, but the fact that the problem identification bit is over and we are looking at solutions, it's a step in the right direction.
Ms. Nama, let me come to you now and ask, so the fulcrum of this particular question will be, okay, people go to school, they acquire the skills, they come out, they can't find their jobs. Those who want to go into private practice can't find the big contracts to do, and yet they are competent enough. What's the plan? How do we solve this problem?
You're making an assumption. People go to school, they acquire skills.
Okay.
Those skills need to be the skills that are required by industry.
Okay.
That is where the lacuna.
That's why I asked Sheila that, look, the training is there, the exam is there, they're done, they're supposed to be getting into the job market, but they're not getting the hiring.
Okay. So it is because there is a bit of a gap, which is why we're saying let's have a conversation about the type of skills that are being delivered.
Required by the...
but more importantly, about you can have the theoretical skills.
Okay.
The competency to do things, the practical training that allows you to be able to say, I can fix this thing without breaking it, is lacking. And that is linked back to equipment in the schools. That's linked back to consumables.
Okay.
It is different when you're training an accountant where you have a calculator and you're doing work. When it comes to skills like welding, if you give them all the theoretical knowledge, if they don't spend hours on end doing the welds, making sure that it's good, making sure that it goes beyond fixing your exhaust pipe.
Okay.
Where when you believe that when you take your car with an exhaust pipe problem, when the sound stops, you believe it's okay.
Right.
If you're welding a pontoon, which is supposed to float on the sea, there are different techniques,
dynamics that come along to play. The capacity of those who are instructing these people to learn the trade, or if you like, the technical, within the technical space, do they have the capacity? Do we have the...
I don't think that they have all the requisite capacity, not because of lack of trying, but you need industry experience to be able to make it a way of training. Now, you know that in Ghana, our whole manufacturing sector itself has been in decline for quite some time. So we need to create that environment where both the instructors are getting the requisite industrial attachments, the students are getting the requisite hours of practical training and some attachment, and get industry onto the space, because at the end of the day, it's the industry that uses the outputs of these products, and they have to be at the table, which is why we're setting up this conference to continue that debate. We started in 2016, getting industry, getting government around. WRC, that's the Western Regional Coastal Foundation, really. We're funded by UK Aid, and basically our job is to create this kind of conversation, this kind of platforms
for people to
use.
Sheila, what is NAPTEC proposing? Of course, you have a partnership, the conference is coming up, but what do you propose about capacity building for these instructors?
I think that NAPTEC does not directly interface with the instructor capacity at the technical and vocational institutions. What NAPTEC does is within the framework of assessment and curriculum. In that regard, we are beginning to engage the private sector in the way we do things. We currently have an examination committee, which is a requirement of the law. And that committee is a composition of private sector, industry, and academia. And they have oversight responsibility over the processes at NAPTEC. What this adds, in addition to the need to constantly engage the private sector on some of the key things that we deliver, is that at any point in time, the needs of private sector is considered. And so in our current effort to even review curriculum, we are changing the methodology a bit to look at a private sector-led approach. In the past, we would develop the framework and then we would engage private sector around it. This time, we will start with a discussion with private sector. What is it you expect from people who have done higher national diploma.
Right.
What are the minimum competencies they must have?
Right.
And then we work backwards.
Okay. Mr. Amma, I wrap up the conversation with you on this one. So the way forward, tell me where the conference is sitting, what the components are, and then tell me your closing thoughts, the way forward for this.
All right. The conference is on the 17th and 18th at the Best Western Region, Best Western Hotel, yeah,
Right.
in Takoradi. And basically, we're inviting as many people as possible who want to talk. It is to really bring industry together, bring government together under one roof, bring academia together, have a good, honest debate about what we need to do to accept and maintain standards and how we can shape the curriculum to make that happen. We are on www.tceghana.org.
Okay.
You can get us also on phone by 0207 845 941 to
You
register.
need to say that again for me.
Okay, it is 0207 845 941 to
Great.
register.
Thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and I hope that we find a lasting solution to these. Thank you. Mr. Matthew Amma is the CEO of Western Region Coastal Foundation. Also, Mrs. Sheila Boama. Now Boama, have got it right, is Executive Secretary of NAPTEX. Thank you very much for your time. Now, the folks in Ablekuma were told have blocked their roads. What exactly are they asking for? Maxwell Othu is my colleague there. He's there. Now, these are live pictures from the location. And the road has been blocked. Tires are being burned. It's mayhem, mere anarchy. And if you ask me, is a national day of embarrassment. Maxwell Othu will join us on the telephone line shortly to give us a full grasp of the details as to why this is happening. Earlier in the month or sometime last month, you had seen the folks in Takwa ban tires like that, block the roads. And their simple reason was because they claimed the road was not motorable, in spite of the fact that it plays a critical role in the economic life of the people. Maxwell Othu is my colleague. He's down there at the scene and he joins me on the phone line. Maxwell, good morning.
Good morning.
Maxwell, we can see the photos and the videos, but what more can you report from Ablekuma?
Currently, we are speaking from Mahia, and that is where we have the road that leads from Ablekuma Junction to Afwamai to Amasamai.
Okay.
And what is happening right now is that the residents, the youth, they have organized demonstration, they blocked the road. They are not allowing any vehicle to cross the road. Actually, they are burning ties. All that they are saying is that they want to register their displeasure to the government for not fixing the road for them. So you can see that the traders are sacked. The students are not getting the opportunity to go to school. In fact, they are not allowing any person to cross the road. So that is the situation over here right now.
The tie burning that you were seeing on our screens right now, how long ago did it start? Do we know?
Can you please come again? I cannot hear you.
I'm asking, the tires are being burnt. How long ago did they start burning the tires? Do we know?
Hello?
Hello, Maxwell, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Right, I'm asking, how long ago did the youth start burning the tires? Did it start this morning? Did it start yesterday? How long ago?
They started around 5 a.m. I was seeing 5 a.m. That is when they started burning the tires, and then they blocked the road. They said they are not allowing anybody to cross to wherever he or she is going. So they are very agitated, and they are expecting that the MCE or the authorities will come and tell them something. Otherwise, they will not allow anyone to use the road. And then I can see the police people are here, the fire service people are also here.
Right.
They are trying to speak to them to calm the situation.
I'm seeing students or pupils in their school uniforms. I can gather that some persons are also going to work. It's a very busy road. Now that the vehicles are not allowed to move, how are they achieving the purpose of travels?
In fact, I can say that the traders, the residents are very disappointed. And it seems that everybody supports this move because This is not the first time that they are organizing this demonstration.
Okay.
Several occasions that they have taken this action, and the authorities seems to be mute over their grievances. So this time around, they said no, and they are not allowing anybody until authorities come in and then fix the road for them.
Max, have you had a chance to speak with any of the leaders of the youth groups who are fueling this, who are burning ties? Have you had a chance with them?
So, Johnny, I have the assembly member from my electoral area with me here, Honorable Malik Abbas with me here. I just want to hand over the phone to him so that you speak to him directly and tell you how the situation has been.
Okay. Hello, Malik. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Malik, why are you burning ties? This is lawless, somebody would say. Why are you engaged in it at this point?
Okay, good morning. This morning we are burning ties because of the bad nature of our roads. Our roads are very bad. I wish my friend can take pictures and videos and then show them to you. The roads are very, very bad. If you live here, every 1 week or 2 weeks, you have to buy shock absorbers in spring. So this morning, we are trying to register our displeasure about the bad nature of the roads by demonstrating. Commercial vehicles are not working. People are not moving, and then the residents are burning ties.
Malik, you may have a genuine case, but burning ties, the fumes people are inhaling, that's carcinogen, a lot of carcinogens and poisonous gases. Are you happy that your action is resulting in this? People can't go to work, economic activities have come to a standstill.
I am very, very sad. In fact, today is a very sad day in my life. I am not happy because my people are burning ties. No, I am not. But then the issue is that it has become necessary because of the nature of our roads.
Okay. What do you hope to achieve with this? My final question to you. You have bent the tiles, you've broke the road, nobody is moving anywhere. What do you hope to achieve?
This is because we want to tell our leaders that our roads need to be fixed. Somewhere last year, this same thing happened, and our MP came here, and he promised the residents that by August last year, the roads will be fixed. And as I speak to you, it's the same thing. And it's over a year now.
Okay.
There's a contractor working on the road and the contractor has abandoned the project for a reason we don't know. But personally, as an assembly member, I asked her, and I was told that because there's no funds, they don't have money. That is why they have abandoned the project.
Okay. I thank you very much, Malik, for your time. And Max Olotu is a man there at Ablekuma Mine here. They're burning ties. They block the roads. We'll give you some more details later at midday on Midday Live here on TV3. When we return from the break, Bright Apia, Child Rights International, will be my guest. We'll be talking some more about issues concerning children. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. I told you Bright Apia will be here. Welcome back, and he is seated already. But as part of our Mission Ghana initiative, was brought to you by Star Ghana, the European Union, DFID, and UK Aid, we traveled to Pandai, where we realized that, well, a community there had the teachers absent from school. The children have been left to their fate. The teachers were not telling us, were not apologetic why they were not in school. They were rather busy crafting long stories to explain their absence from school. Take a look at this story. When we return, we'll have a conversation.
Education, according to South Africa's late president,
my pen is with AJ.
Nelson Mandela, is the key to change the world. But achieving this requires commitment of stakeholders. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4 also corroborates the need for universal access to education for all. However, this is a mirage for pupils at Bola, in the Pandai district of the northern region. Here, teaching and learning are not effective because teachers, who are the key stakeholders, do not regularly attend school. As a result, pupils are losing out. The Bola community is located about 12 kilometers from Kabonwile, the nearest community. The mission team's investigations revealed that district authorities do not frequent the area due to the long distance they would have to cover from Pandai, the district capital. This has given teachers the luxury to stay away from school and deprive pupils of their right to education. The mission team arrived at the Bola Basic School at about 8:30 one Monday morning. Pupils had reported to school in their numbers, but there were no teachers at school. There are no learning materials, and so pupils are whiling away instructional hours, playing football in the classrooms.
And so that was the story. That's the plight of the children there. Bright Apia is the boss at the Child Rights International Office. Chief, welcome. Good to see you one more time. Yes. This is the situation. You have been advocating for children to be in school, to be given the right help, the right coaching and everything. Here are teachers who are paid with state resources, who are absent from school, and they're telling a litany of tales.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but I think that I have to also congratulate your team for doing that sports check and bringing some of these things out. And I think that it's one of the things that we should be doing to bring to the attention in terms of the authorities and what they have to do. Well, this is purely based on the circuit supervisors and what they have to do to ensure that teachers report on time and do what they are supposed to do. I don't know the particular day, but there are certain instances that teachers do not even report to school at all. Okay. And they engage in all kinds of things and they're giving excuses and all that. But whatever it is, I think that if you look at the administrative work of Ghana Education Service, we need to put them on their toes so that they do what they are supposed to do. This is clearly, if the teacher absenteeism has improved a bit, but there are certain pockets here and there that you'd also see children suffering as a result of that. This is not a school that is lacking facilities generally, because if you look at the furnitures that they have, the number of people that are in that school clearly point to the fact that at least the community is committed in sending their children to school. So all that we need to do to ensure that circuit supervisors be on them and then ensure that they do what they are supposed to do. I'm surprised that even the head of the school was not even around. Exactly. So clearly it points to the fact that there's something wrong, and I think that the circuit supervisor should be held responsible in this.
Stanley Nibleu brought us this conversation. Let's go on to the telephone line. Honorable Siaka Stevens is the chairman of the Select Committee of Parliament on Education. Honorable, good morning and thank you for your time, sir. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Great. Good to have you. Bright says this is lack of supervision, but also we know that some of the supervisors have had cause to complain about petrol allowance, not having the resources.
It's not clear. I mean, in the meetings, I'm not getting you well.
Hello, Honorable Saka Stevens.
Yes, sir, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. We're having a conversation about Pandai, where teachers abandoned the children in the classrooms and found the pleasure of telling us stories instead of explaining why they were not there. Now, Bright talks about lack of supervision, but we do know that some of the supervisors have complained that they don't have the resources to go around and supervise. Has this come to your attention, sir?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just from my constituency, and we are now at where Ada for to consider some bills. My constituency, I've realized supervision is very weak there. And upon interrogation, I realized the mobility is a problem. About 102 public schools. So I purchased motorbikes for them. In doing so, you can demand accountability. So that's what I've done. So generally, we went through last year or so some of the selected schools. Their challenge was mobility. And even if they have, there's no provision for petrol.
Okay.
So virtually, it's weakening the whole system. There will be good policies in place, but the needed materials that may be required to motivate supervisors to move is a challenge. It is true.
SDG Goal 4 says children have a right to education. That right, by this action, by the lack of resources, is being curtailed. How does that hit you as the chairman of the Select Committee of Parliament on Education?
Well, in the environment where, or in the situation, economy where your resources are limited, you choose your other items in order of decreasing importance. I know that these general problems affecting our country as a whole, you can't tackle everything at once. a step-by-step approach. So this, once it is acknowledged, it means it will be addressed.
What step are we now? Because we spoke about some of these things last year. We're repeating them this year. We have had money to buy other things. And we say education our children is what? A step-by-step approach. Is that the understanding I'm getting from you?
Yeah, the understanding is that you have to make sure you create access to all Ghanaian children in the country. That's number one.
Okay.
And in doing so, you may face challenges. You know, having resources for some people to do supervision, and you have major chunk of the people staying home. Which one is better? Allowing them to go to school and then charge the head of institutions while waiting for supervisors to also give up their best. I think we are making a movement, but like I told you, you can't solve all the problems at a go.
Do you want to make us a promise in this issue at Bandai? Do you want us to make us a promise?
Yeah, we will even soon go out for this outreach program to see how far the double track is working.
Okay.
And then we'll bring a report to Parliament.
I thank you. Honorable Siaka Stevens.
Yeah.
Grateful for your time this morning. He's the chairman of the Select Committee of Parliament on Education. Right. Step-by-step approach. Are we getting there? Are we winning? Are we losing? What is it?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's a bit confusing when you hear policymakers giving different, outlining different approaches in terms of how we should handle education. Okay. Which, of course, clearly we've defined a path that we want to go through. Beyond what is within their political manifesto, there's international commitment that we have also made. Right. And we've signed up to some of these things. One has to do with the UN Convention on the Right of the Child, which also gives the right to education to children. Okay. And in there, it talks about compulsory basic education for all. And we must ensure that we do all that we can within our power to provide certain services. And in the Constitution itself, we have it there. And if you look at the various approaches that have been outlined in the manifesto of the MPP, it suggests a certain direction. So when certain things come in like a step-by-step approach, then it leaves a lot of, it tells us that even what has been promised, that there's no certainty about the fulfillment.
What place of priority
promises.
does education have? You've been having engagements with policymakers and all of that. When you go to those meetings, what place of priority does education have for these young people in Bandai, for example?
Well, you see, what the sense that we get is that sometimes when the promises are made, it comes to face with the reality. Okay. And they have to balance the act. And because of what they've talked about, it is very difficult for them to justify why they think that there's. And then politicians sometimes find it very difficult to accept that we've gone wrong and we need to come back to correct some of the things that we've done. Right. So you would see them always dancing around the chairs to see how best they can fix the situation and all that. But for me, as an advocate, I think that when you have a policy and you realize that there's something wrong with it, you need to admit and say that no, this is the way that we have to go. Because I've always made the argument that look, the rural community that we have, the engagement with children cannot be as in the urban communities. But what we can do is to make life comfortable for those who provide the services, like teachers, like the circuit supervisors. You know, he said that he has provided motorbikes. You see, this motorbike is coming from an MP, who happens to be the chair of the Select Committee. But within administrative structure of Ghana Education Service, the services that he has provided,
the system must have a way to provide
the system must provide it. And if you are providing it for the system must acknowledge that you have given this for that purpose. So they have to, so that it doesn't become as if it's a political donation that has been made, but for a purpose that they have to follow to ensure that they do what they are supposed to do.
Thank you very much. Bright Apia is the executive chair at Child Rights International. He's also the man to speak with at the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. I thank you very much, Bright, for your Monday morning. Grateful. Over the phone line, we heard the Honorable Siaka Stevens. He's the chairman of the Select Committee of Parliament on Education. And that's where a Monday morning starts, actually. We've started you right on a new day. You go out there, win, and know that if you can think it and your heart can believe it, only you can achieve it. Have a great morning. See you tomorrow.
Give me all you get, don't hold back.